30 seconds. That's how long it took for a $300 million system launch to turn into the biggest corporate meltdown I've ever seen. And trust me, after 15 years in operations finance, I've seen plenty. My name is Wade Thompson. I'm 47 years old, and that morning was supposed to be the crowning achievement of my career at Atlas Freight Solutions. Instead, it became the day the CEO's wife decided I wasn't necessary anymore. The conference room overlooked downtown Chicago, all glass and steel reflecting the morning sun. Our new Titan logistics system was about to go live for 18 major clients across North America. Thousands of shipments, hundreds of warehouses, millions of dollars moving every hour. I'd spent 3 years integrating the financial controls with the operational tracking. Every transaction, every variance, every compliance checkpoint, all of it flowing through systems I'd built from the ground up. Jerry Williams, our operations manager, tapped the projection screen. If this rollout works like the simulations, Titan will handle nearly 50% of our freight coordination. I straightened the stack of monthly variance reports in front of me. The numbers told a story most people in that room couldn't read. Revenue up 23%, operational efficiency improved, but there were irregularities in the budget transfers, small ones. The kind that required my signature to approve but somehow kept appearing without my authorization. The financial integration is solid, I said, clicking my pen twice. Real-time P&L tracking, automated variance alerts, full audit trail documentation. Operations should run smooth as long as nobody tries to bypass the controls. A few heads turned my way. I didn't elaborate. When you've been Navy logistics and corporate finance long enough, you learn that the fewer words you use, the more attention people pay. That's when the conference room door opened. Victoria Whitman stepped inside. Perfect posture, designer coat, the kind of confidence that comes from being married to the CEO. She had no title, no role in the company, just one very important connection. She was James Whitman's wife, and James had never once stopped her from involving herself in decisions that weren't hers to make. The room went quiet. Everyone knew Victoria wasn't supposed to be in operational meetings. Hell, she wasn't supposed to be in any meetings. But everyone also knew that arguing with the CEO's wife was career suicide. Victoria walked slowly around the table, heels clicking against the marble floor. She stopped behind my chair and looked at the projection screen where Titan's financial dashboards displayed real-time transaction flows. Impressive system, she said. Very comprehensive. I felt the temperature in the room shift. Victoria's compliments usually came with conditions attached. James and I have been discussing something, she continued, moving to the head of the table. The company shouldn't depend on a single person to manage its financial oversight. I clicked my pen once, twice. The reconciliation reports under my hands felt heavier. Wade, she said, looking directly at me, we're restructuring your position, effective immediately. The words hit the room like a system crash. For a moment, nobody moved. Sarah Martinez from HR leaned forward carefully. Victoria, personnel decisions require board approval. Documentation, Victoria held up one finger. My husband runs this company. When James makes a decision, he expects it to be carried out. She pulled out her phone and placed it on the table, screen up. A text thread with the CEO's name clearly visible. I looked at the phone, then at Victoria. Then at the 15 years of financial controls I'd built to protect this company from exactly the kind of budget manipulation I'd been tracking for months. So you're eliminating the senior operations director an hour before system launch, I said quietly. Victoria smiled, the team can handle it. I picked up my badge and company credit card, placed them on the polished table next to my stack of reports. The plastic made a soft tap against the wood. Then someone should probably check the reconciliation reports before making personnel changes. I stood up, straightening my jacket. The audit trail activates within minutes. Jerry frowned. What does that mean? I walked toward the door. You'll find out. The elevator ride down felt longer than usual. Outside, Chicago traffic hummed past like background noise. My phone buzzed before I reached the parking garage. James Whitman. Wade, the CEO's voice was carefully neutral. I understand there was some confusion in the meeting. I leaned against my car. Confusion is one way to put it. Look, Victoria can be enthusiastic about company efficiency, but the decision has been made. If you make this difficult, it won't reflect well on your career prospects. The message was clear. Leave quietly or watch my reputation disappear. James continued, you know how small the logistics industry is. People talk. Don't burn bridges you might need later. I understand. I said, good. Then we shouldn't have any problems. The line went dead. For a moment, I stared at the phone. Then I called my brother Daniel, the corporate attorney. Let me guess, he said. They finally pushed you out. Something like that. After I explained what happened, Daniel went quiet for a long moment. Wade, if the CEO starts blackballing you, that can follow you for years. I looked back at the Atlas building, all glass and steel reflecting the afternoon sun. Maybe. But upstairs, Titan just lost its financial oversight authority, and nobody in that building understands what that means yet. See, here's the thing about financial systems that most executives don't get. They think if someone documents everything properly, any trained accountant can step in and keep things running. That's not how it works when you're dealing with real-time compliance monitoring and automated variance detection. I'd built Titan's financial architecture over 3 years, layer by layer. Every automated report, every exception alert, every audit trail, they all required authentication from someone with senior operations director credentials. Not just any finance person, not the CFO, me, because I was the one who understood how all the pieces fit together. Inside the operations center, the first alert appeared maybe 10 minutes after I left the building, a small yellow notification on Jerry's screen. Financial oversight authentication expired. That's weird. One of the analysts said, pulling up the system logs. The automated variance reporting just switched to manual approval mode. Jerry tried to override it, access denied. He switched terminals, still denied. The financial integration layer isn't accepting commands, he told Victoria, who was standing behind him with her arms crossed. Well, fix it, she snapped. But the dashboard told a different story. Real-time P&L tracking had stopped updating. Automated compliance reports were queued but not processing. The variance alerts that had been running in the background for 3 years suddenly required manual authorization from someone with Wade Thompson's access level, which no longer existed. Victoria was getting that look people get when they realize they've made a bigger mistake than they thought. Can't you just reset it? It's not a password, Mrs. Whitman, Jerry said carefully. The entire financial oversight framework is tied to Mr. Thompson's credentials. Every automated process, every compliance check, every audit trail, she straightened, then find someone who can replicate his access. Jerry exchanged a glance with one of the analysts. Ma'am, it took Mr. Thompson 3 years to build this framework. We can't replicate it in an afternoon. Victoria pulled out her phone and started typing. She was calling someone. Probably James. The analysts kept their eyes on their screens, pretending not to notice. 5 minutes later, James Whitman walked onto the operations floor. He looked at the dashboards, then at Victoria, then at Jerry. How bad is it? He asked. Jerry pulled up the system map, every node highlighted in amber or red. 17 client accounts unable to pull financial data. SEC compliance queue frozen at 4,312 pending transactions. Real-time P&L tracking across all 18 clients. Offline. James rubbed the back of his neck. Can we manually process the client reports? That would take a team of 12 accountants working through the night, Jerry said, and we still wouldn't have the automated compliance filings done by morning. Victoria crossed her arms. This is a design flaw. No system should collapse because one person leaves. Jerry looked at her carefully, choosing his words. It didn't collapse, Mrs. Whitman. It's running perfectly. It's just not accepting commands from anyone without the proper authorization level. The room went quiet. Even Victoria seemed to understand the distinction. The system wasn't broken. It was waiting. And the only person it was waiting for was the one she'd just fired. That's when the phone started ringing again. By 2 p.m., Atlas Freight's biggest client called first, Transcontinental Logistics, worth about $40 million annually. Your financial reporting system hasn't updated our account status in 4 hours. The voice on the line said, our contract requires real-time cost tracking. Jerry covered the receiver. What do I tell them? Victoria's confidence was starting to crack. Tell them it's a temporary technical issue. But it wasn't technical. It was financial architecture. Every automated process I'd built over 15 years had one thing in common. They all required authentication from a senior operations director with specific access credentials. Credentials that were now deactivated. The second call came from our biggest West Coast client, then the third from the CFO's office. They wanted to know why the monthly variance reports weren't generating, why the automated SEC compliance filings were stuck in queue, why real-time P&L tracking had gone dark. By 3 p.m., the phones were ringing nonstop. Jerry was fielding calls from angry clients while Sarah Martinez was trying to explain to the CFO that they couldn't just assign someone else to handle financial oversight without rebuilding the entire authentication framework. That's when Victoria made her second mistake of the day. Get me Wade Thompson on the phone, she told Sarah. I don't think that's a good idea, Sarah replied. You just fired him in front of the entire leadership team. I don't care what I did. Get him on the phone, but I wasn't answering, not yet. I was sitting in my kitchen, looking at 15 years of financial documentation I'd brought home over the years. System designs, audit procedures, compliance frameworks, all of it built to protect Atlas Freight from financial irregularities. The kind of irregularities I'd been tracking in Victoria's expense reports for months. See, when you build financial oversight systems, you notice patterns, small budget transfers that don't quite make sense, vendor payments that bypass normal approval channels, personal expenses that somehow get categorized as operational costs. I'd been documenting everything, but I hadn't reported it yet. Professional courtesy, I guess. Give people a chance to explain before you escalate to the board. But professional courtesy is a two-way street. By 4 p.m., Robert Sterling himself was calling James Whitman. Sterling wasn't just any board member, he was the chairman, the guy whose investment fund had financed Atlas Freight's expansion into automated logistics. When Sterling called, people listened. James Sterling's voice was calm but direct. "I'm getting calls from clients. Something about financial reporting systems being down. What's going on?" James cleared his throat. "We streamlined operations, eliminated some redundancy in the financial oversight department." Redundancy? Sterling's voice was flat. "You fired Wade Thompson. My wife made a personnel decision." "Stop!" Sterling held up a hand even though they were talking on the phone. "James, I've known Wade for 8 years. He built every financial control system this company uses, every audit trail, every compliance procedure, every variance report. You just eliminated your entire institutional financial knowledge." The room went quiet on James's end. Sterling continued, "Our largest clients are threatening to pull contracts because their financial reporting systems aren't updating. The SEC compliance officer called me personally because automated filings stopped processing. Do you understand what you've done?" James looked pale. "It wasn't supposed to escalate." "Where is Wade now?" I'm not sure." Sterling pulled out his phone. "Wade, this is Robert Sterling. I believe your system is currently refusing to cooperate with my company." I picked up on the second ring. "Mr. Sterling," I said, "the system is doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is protect the company from unauthorized financial manipulation." There was a pause. Sterling wasn't stupid. He understood what I was really saying. "Would you be willing to come back and restore operations?" I looked at the stack of variance reports on my kitchen table. Victoria's expense anomalies going back 18 months. Budget transfers that didn't add up. Vendor contracts that bypassed competitive bidding. All documented, all time-stamped, all sitting in my personal files because I'd been giving her the benefit of the doubt. "Mr. Sterling, before I answer that, you should know something. The financial irregularities I've been tracking didn't start today." Another pause, longer this time. "What kind of irregularities?" "The kind that trigger SEC investigations." Sterling's voice got very quiet. "We need to talk. Can you be here in an hour?" 30 minutes later, I walked back into Atlas Freight. The building felt different. The confidence from that morning was gone. The operations floor looked like a hospital during an emergency. Jerry stood when he saw me. "Wade, thank God, the variance reports haven't processed all day. Client accounts are locked. The automated compliance filing for SEC is stuck in queue." I didn't go straight to my workstation. Instead, I walked over to Sterling, who was standing near the back of the operations center, watching the chaos. "Show me," he said quietly. I pulled out my personal laptop and opened the files I'd been compiling for months. Budget transfers totaling $847,000 over 18 months, all approved by Victoria Whitman, using James's electronic signature, all categorized as operational consulting, but with no documentation of actual work performed. The consulting company receiving the payments? Whitman Enterprises, owned by Victoria's nephew Jeremy. Sterling studied the screen for a long moment. He exhaled slowly. "There's more," I said, clicking to another spreadsheet. "Personal expense reimbursements, travel meals, even jewelry purchases. All coded as client entertainment, but I cross-referenced with the client database. Half these companies don't even do business with us." Sterling closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, his expression had changed completely. "Get the system back online," he said. "Then we're calling an emergency board meeting." I sat down at my old workstation. The system recognized my credentials immediately. Not broken, not damaged. Just waiting for proper financial oversight authority. "Run a system diagnostic," I said to Jerry. Within minutes, the backlog started clearing. Real-time P&L tracking resumed. Client account updates processed. The automated variance reports that had been queued all day began flowing to the appropriate departments. But something else started flowing too. Audit alerts, exception reports, compliance flags, all the irregularities the system had been detecting but couldn't report without proper oversight authorization. Victoria appeared at my shoulder. "What are those alerts?" I kept typing, watching 3 years of suppressed audit exceptions flood across the screen. "The system is catching up on exception reporting." Exception reporting for what? I turned in my chair to look at her. Budget transfers, vendor payments, expense reimbursements, all the transactions that required manual override instead of automated approval. Victoria's face went pale. "Those are legitimate business expenses." "I'm sure they are," I said. "That's why we keep such detailed records." Sterling stepped up behind her. "Mrs. Whitman, we need to discuss these reports." "I don't have to discuss anything with you," Victoria snapped. Actually, you do, Sterling said calmly, because these reports are going to the SEC. Tonight, the emergency board meeting started at 8 p.m. Sterling called it himself, which meant serious business. The conference room that had hosted my firing 12 hours earlier now felt like a courtroom. Yesterday's incident exposed multiple governance failures, Sterling said, placing printed copies of the audit reports in front of each board member. The financial irregularities documented in these reports span 18 months. James sat at the far end of the table, looking like he'd aged 10 years in one day. Victoria stood beside him, arms crossed, still trying to project authority the room no longer recognized. Board member after board member reviewed the documentation. Budget transfers to shell companies, personal expenses charged to operational accounts, vendor contracts that violated competitive bidding requirements. James, Sterling continued, "Did you authorize these payments to Whitman Enterprises?" James hesitated. "Victoria handles vendor relations. I trusted her judgment. Your electronic signature approved $847,000 in payments to a company owned by your wife's nephew for consulting services with no documentation of work performed." One of the directors looked up from the reports. "This is embezzlement. The SEC will make that determination," Sterling said. "What we need to determine is whether James Whitman can continue as CEO of a publicly traded company." Victoria stepped forward. "This is ridiculous. Every payment was legitimate business expense." Sterling looked at her calmly. "Mrs. Whitman, you charged a $3,200 necklace to our account as client entertainment with a company that hasn't done business with us in 2 years." The room went dead silent. "The board has a fiduciary responsibility to shareholders," Sterling continued. "We cannot allow financial irregularities to continue under current leadership." He looked around the table. "Vote." Hands rose quietly around the room. Final, decisive. "James Whitman, your position as Chief Executive Officer is terminated, effective immediately." Victoria started to protest, but security was already at the door. "Mrs. Whitman, you are permanently banned from this building pending the outcome of the SEC investigation." They escorted both of them out. The conference room felt lighter somehow. Later that week, the board implemented new governance policies. Non-employees were prohibited from participating in operational decisions. All vendor contracts required competitive bidding and independent approval. Financial oversight positions required dual authorization for termination. The SEC investigation moved fast once they had the documentation. Victoria's scheme was textbook embezzlement, shell companies, inflated invoices, personal expenses disguised as business costs. The kind of fraud that lands people in federal prison. James cooperated with investigators, claiming he'd been manipulated by his wife. Maybe that was true. Maybe he was just weak leadership who let someone without authority make decisions that weren't theirs to make. Either way, his career in corporate leadership was over. That afternoon, a company-wide announcement circulated. "Wade Thompson, Chief Operating Officer. Sterling offered me James's position as CEO, but I turned it down. COO was better operations authority without the political headaches. Plus, they gave me an equity package that would set me up nicely for retirement in a few years." Before leaving that day, Sterling stopped by the operations floor one last time. He looked at the financial dashboards, all green lights and smooth data flows. "Next time," he said quietly, "let's make sure the person who built the system stays in the room." The following months brought changes. We hired a new CEO from outside the company, someone with clean credentials and no family members lurking in the background. The financial controls I'd built were expanded and documented so thoroughly that multiple people could manage them if needed. But the core architecture remained the same. Authentication protocols, audit trails, exception reporting, all designed to catch financial irregularities before they became federal crimes. That evening, I stood alone in the operations center, watching Titan's network flow across the screens. Thousands of shipments, hundreds of warehouses, millions of transactions, all moving exactly as designed. For 15 years, I'd built these systems quietly, protecting Atlas Freight from the kind of financial chaos that destroys companies. 6 months ago, someone decided the financial architect didn't matter. Today, the system had answered that question definitively. The reconciliation reports on my desk showed clean numbers for the first time in 18 months. No unauthorized transfers, no suspicious vendor payments, no personal expenses disguised as operational costs. All of it documented in the audit trail Victoria thought she could eliminate by eliminating me. Jerry Williams knocked on my office door. "Wade, the monthly variance report is clean, 0 exceptions." I straightened the stack of reports and clicked my pen twice. "That's how it's supposed to work," Jerry grinned. "Yeah, but it's the first time in over a year." The SEC investigation concluded 8 months later. Victoria Whitman was sentenced to 4 years in federal prison for embezzlement and fraud. Jeremy's consulting company was shut down, and he paid back $847,000 in restitution. James avoided prison but paid substantial fines and was permanently banned from serving as an officer of any publicly traded company. Atlas Freight's stock price actually went up after the scandal broke. Investors liked seeing swift action and strong governance. They liked knowing the company had financial controls that actually worked. The new CEO, Patricia Kendall, understood something James never did. She knew that the people who build the systems are the ones who understand them best. She made sure financial oversight had real authority and couldn't be overridden by someone's spouse. 2 years later, Titan was handling 67% of our freight coordination. The financial integration I designed was processing $2.3 billion annually in client transactions. Every dollar tracked, every variance explained, every audit trail documented. I kept the reconciliation reports from that day Victoria fired me. Sometimes I'd look at them and remember the moment she thought she could eliminate financial oversight by eliminating the person who built it. The system had other ideas. My divorce was finalized around the same time the SEC investigation concluded. Funny thing about going through a corporate crisis and a personal crisis simultaneously, you learn what really matters. My ex-wife was right about one thing. I did care more about spreadsheets than our marriage, but sometimes caring about spreadsheets protects people's jobs, prevents financial fraud, and keeps companies honest. That's not such a bad thing to care about. The equity package from my COO position paid off better than expected. Atlas Freight went public the following year, and my shares were worth enough to retire comfortably, but I stayed on. There's something satisfying about building systems that work, protecting companies from people who think rules don't apply to them. Victoria Whitman probably thought she was just firing an employee who'd become inconvenient. She didn't understand that financial oversight isn't a person you can eliminate. It's a principle you ignore at your own risk. The numbers, as always, told the truth. And here's the thing I want you to understand. This story isn't really about me getting revenge on a boss's wife who overstepped her authority. It's about something bigger than that. Every workplace has people who think they're above the rules. They use their connections, their relationships, their perceived authority to bypass the systems other people built to keep things running properly. They fire the people who ask uncomfortable questions, who document irregularities, who insist on following procedures. But here's what they don't understand. The systems are stronger than the people who try to abuse them. Financial controls, audit trails, compliance procedures, they exist for a reason. And when someone tries to eliminate those protections by eliminating the people who built them, the systems themselves will expose the truth. If you're the person building those systems, document everything. If you're the person being pushed out for doing your job properly, trust that competence eventually wins. If you're watching someone abuse their authority to bypass proper procedures, know that the numbers don't lie. The truth has a way of surfacing, especially when it's backed up by 15 years of documentation and an audit trail that can't be deleted. This story is a work of fiction created for storytelling purposes. All characters, companies, and events are fictional, and any resemblance to real organizations or individuals is purely coincidental.